has been eliminated. Or if you choose the body fixed coordinate system, then this will be true. So that is the final conclusion is the kinetic energy is given by half omega transpose theta omega, where omega is the angular velocity vector and theta is the tensor of inertia matrix. All of these are constructed using the same coordinate system. They are represented in the same coordinate frame. That is the key requirement. In the form of vectors, the tensor of inertia is given by omega dot L. It should be omega dot L. L is usually the tensor of inertia matrix acting on the omega vector. So if you compare this with the standard kinetic energy for the linear motion, it is half mv square or half into v into mass into velocity, where mass into velocity can be thought of as the moment, linear moment. So we are going to define a few more concepts today by looking at the tensor of inertia matrix. Basically, we are trying to understand what this is. That the elements we right now know how we construct the tensor of inertia matrix is by choosing a coordinate system. So depending on the position and the orientation of the body fixed coordinate system, the tensor of inertia matrix will change. Suppose we wish to have the tensor of inertia matrix in the diagonal form. Is it possible? Suppose that is possible. Then such a tensor of inertia matrix will have this expression. We will see that this is always possible if we choose appropriate coordinate system. That is the proof we are going to give in a short while. So if you have especially if you have a symmetric system like a sphere or something, then if you construct the tensor of inertia matrix with any coordinate axis, in fact, you will notice that the tensor of inertia matrix is always diagonal. For the non-symmetric system, you have to specially choose this coordinate axis. The symmetry, if you choose the axis such that they are having some form of symmetry, then you will notice that the tensor of inertia matrix also will have this diagonal form. So the tensor of inertia matrix and the geometry are closely related. So whenever the tensor of inertia matrix has a diagonal form, then the coordinate axes are called as the principal axis. The coordinate axis in which the tensor of inertia matrix has the diagonal form is called as the principal axis of the system, are called as the principal axis or system of principal axis. So in this particular case, if you notice the tensor of inertia matrix theta is having the diagonal elements theta xx, theta yy, theta zz. Therefore, the angular momentum vector, whenever we construct it, will be theta xx times omega x plus theta yy times omega y plus theta zz times omega z. So, and the kinetic energy will be also easy to compute. It is half times theta xx omega x square plus theta yy omega y square plus theta zz omega z square. So it is very clear even in this diagonal representation, the orientation of the angular velocity and the angular momentum vector are in general different from each other. So only in the special case when all the tensor of inertia, moments of inertia, theta xx, theta yy, and theta zz are equal to each other, you will notice that the angular velocity and angular momentum vector will be same. That is, if you have a sphere, it will have that property if you have the coordinate system fixed at the center of the sphere. So which means that the angular momentum, so basically whenever you spin the sphere with respect to any axis, the spin remains along the same. You can imagine a football. So let us see in general, what are the conditions under which the angular velocity and angular momentum vector will have the same orientation. Basically, angular momentum L should be a scalar multiple of angular velocity vector. So in the diagonal case, what we saw earlier, in this particular case, suppose if the angular velocity was simply unit vector in the direction of what is that, x-axis, unit vector in the direction of x-axis, you can imagine unit vector or any vector. It is 1 0 0 or alpha times 1 0 0. If that was the case, if omega is omega x times ex, where ex represents the x-axis, that is 1 0 0 axis. So in this particular case, you will notice that the angular momentum vector is theta times omega x ex, which is nothing but theta xx omega x ex, which means the direction of angular velocity and angular momentum are same. Similarly, you could do this for Ey and Ez. So if the angular velocity vectors are in either x-axis or y-axis or z-axis, then the angular momentum vector will be in the same direction. So these are special cases. So whenever you have a matrix in the diagonal form, the tensor of inertia matrix in the diagonal form, and the angular velocity vectors are either of the coordinate axis, that is either x-axis or y-axis or z-axis, in these particular cases, the angular momentum vector and the angular velocity vector are in the same direction. So both the angular velocity and angular momentum are in the same direction. So as a result, we have for a diagonal theta, the angular velocity omega and angular momentum L will have the same orientation if and only if the axis of rotation is any of the principal axis. Axis of rotation, okay, there's a typo here, axis of rotation. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. This is an important consequence. So you cannot spin any arbitrary rigid body axis with arbitrary axis and expect the axis of rotation to continue to remain along the same axis. So it is only whenever you spin along these special coordinate axis that the object will remain spinning along the same axis. So if you have a shapeless object and then if you spin it with an arbitrary axis, then it will begin to tumble in all possible way. Of course, it follows certain pattern dynamics, which we will be deriving shortly.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, the principal axis definition depends on our choice of coordinate system, right?
Principal axis is, no, it is independent of that. Later on, we will relate it to principal axis will become x-axis, y-axis. Okay, you are right. No, I wouldn't say that. Here we have chosen a special coordinate system in which the matrix appears in the diagonal form. Okay, so the way I have defined it is like that. Yes, it will depend on the coordinate system. You are right. So the way I have defined here is the principal axis or the axis along which you could alternatively define it like this. Axis along which the angular velocity and the angular momentum vector are same. That is another way of defining it.
Okay.
So what you could do is you could define the tensor of inertia with respect to any arbitrary coordinate system, of course body fixed coordinate system, then you will have certain non-diagonal elements occurring. But however, with respect to that coordinate system, there will be certain set of coordinate axes in which the angular momentum and the angular velocity vector will have the same direction. That is the most general definition. This is a special case. In this special case, The x-axis, y-axis, z-axis are the principal axis. You can have any other set of axes as principal axis in a general case.
Okay, sir. Sir, for a given a tensor of inertia and angular velocity, how many principal axes would be there?
Yeah, so that we have to think of. How many do you think? This is three-dimensional coordinate system. We expect 3. It actually follows from the way we are going to define it now. So let me go to the next slide. Probably it may become slightly clear. So let us see. This is the general definition what we are talking about. In general, the principal axis can be computed by finding out the direction in which the angular momentum and the angular velocity vector have the same direction. So the question is how to choose if you are having an arbitrary coordinate system with which you have defined the tensor of inertia matrix. How do you choose this angular velocity such that the angular momentum vector is in the same direction? What does it mean? L should be equal to some lambda times omega, or theta omega should be lambda omega. So now from this, can you say something? This is the clue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, theta omega is your angular momentum vector. What did you say? Eigen?
Omega is the eigenvector, sir.
Yes, excellent. So, how many eigenvectors are there? It boils down to that question. If you have a 3 cross 3 matrix, only along the eigenvector direction, you will notice this property. So, if you have an arbitrary tensor of inertia matrix, and then if you compute the eigenvectors of the tensor of inertia matrix, that is going to tell you what the principal axis of inertia are. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So you might have asked your professors from the first year mathematics, what are the applications of eigenvalues, what are eigenvectors, and so on. So you can see this is one particular place which has an important application in the mechanics. At least now you can say you have at least one application for your eigenvalue and eigenvectors.
Sir, what is the advantage of having omega and L in the same direction?
See, the question now is, if you have a rigid body, someone asks you a question, arbitrary rigid body, shapeless. So if I spin the rigid body, will the spin, is the object going to remain spinning along the same axis? The answer is in general no. Only along these special axis, the object spins along the same, continues to remain spinning along the same axis. Especially if you have a satellite, if you want to spin stabilize a satellite, spin stabilization is one property basically which is where plays an important role. You want to regularly spin the spacecraft for many purposes. One purpose would be to evenly distribute the temperatures when in space. So if you spin along any arbitrary axis, this property is not going to hold. So if you spin along a certain sequence of axis, that is this principal axis, then the spin can be maintained along that particular axis. That is one example I can give.
Okay, sir. Sir, and also how do you choose theta? Like the choice of theta also depends on coordinate, right?
Right, theta can be any theta. Finally, the principal axis is not going to change because of theta, because it is simply eigenvector and eigenvalue. So if for any other theta, it will be some other eigenvalue for that theta. So usually what happens is in applications, they will choose the coordinate axis as this principal axis itself. So initially what they will do, they will simply choose arbitrary set of coordinate axis, then they will get a theta. Then they will try to find out what are the eigenvectors for this theta. Once you know the eigenvectors, you know the principal axis direction. Now you choose them as the XYZ axis. The matrix will appear in the diagonal form. So that way, the equations also will become simpler.
Okay, sir.
So the way you are going to write the equations will be with respect to the body coordinate system in which the coordinate axes are chosen along the principal axis of the system. So this is a fixed property. If the mass and other properties are not changing, then the principal axis of inertia are same for a given rigid body. It remains same. It's not going to change.
Okay, sir.
So we have converted our problem into eigenvalue, eigenvector problem is equivalent to computing the principal axis. One of the difficulty now is how do we know eigenvalue and eigenvector exist for a given tensor of inertia. So I will give you one example. So if you are given a matrix, can you always find all eigenvalues and all eigenvectors? Eigenvalues, yes, probably we will say factorization. Can you always find eigenvectors? Actually, it's a loaded question. It has to be properly qualified, but whatever you think, is it always possible to find eigenvectors for a given matrix? If you remember, let us go back to this example.
Say full rank.
Yes,
First, it needs to be full rank and first semi-definite or something.
full rank not necessary. Let us see. Let us take a full rank matrix A minus B, B, A. What are the eigenvalues and eigenvectors? Okay, I will simplify this. 0, minus 1, 1, 0. You find for this one. What are the eigenvalues?
A plus minus IB.
Yeah, this is A plus minus IB. So this will be only plus minus I. What are the eigenvectors? No real eigenvectors. Remember. Not only that, the question of how many eigenvectors also is there. Even if basically this is not a real, not non-real eigenvalues. So we cannot talk about axis of rotation. They are all real quantities, right? Imaginary quantities, we do not understand how to use a physical understanding of them. So now you consider another situation, 0, 1, 0, 0. What are the eigenvalues of this?
0.
0.
0 and 0.
0.
How many eigenvectors should you have?
1.
Yes. How many eigenvectors? For each eigenvalue, you require one eigenvector, no?
Yes, sir. So, but they're
But
repeated.
they are repeated. No, sir.
Yeah. So what? So what can you give an eigenvector for this? You should multiply
can
by
be
something.
anything.
Yes.
So a comma 1 comma 0.
Yeah.
Vector
A
1.
0. Okay. Then
Anything. It can be anything, sir. It can range from.
in
0,
fact we
0.
don't have 0, 0 is not an eigenvector. See, one important thing: eigenvector are always non-trivial. So otherwise 0 is always eigenvector of anything. So eigenvectors are those vectors which are non-trivial. We are talking about non-trivial quantities. By definition, it's not. In fact, it has only one eigenvector. This has only, it's an important property. So every eigenvalue need not have an eigenvector. Okay, so such there is something called algebraic multiplicity. Algebraically, there are two eigenvalues, and there is something called geometric multiplicity. Just a moment. Hello. Yes, madam. Actually, duplicator. Sir, சொல்லுங்க. ஆமா, yes, yes. ஓகே. அவருக்கு வந்து இது மெடிக்கல் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கு. ஸ்ரீராம். சரி, நோ ப்ராப்ளம். சரி. Sorry. Yeah, I'm back. So I think we were discussing this thing. Yeah. So there is something called algebraic multiplicity and geometric multiplicity. So every eigenvalue need not have an eigenvector. It will depend on certain properties here. So basically, what is the dimension of the system when the eigenvalues are substituted? That will be, and then how many you are able to find out. Anyway, we will not worry about the details of that. I'm just mentioning. So the question of finding the eigenvalue and eigenvector is not a straightforward problem. We need to show that every tensor of inertia matrix has three sets of eigenvectors or eigenvalues. Otherwise, these kinds of issues can come. So we have to see what certain use these special properties of the tensor of inertia. First of all, the eigenvalues may not be real. Then there is an issue how to interpret these things. So we have to now show that this situation how to overcome or how these are sorted out here. So that's what we are asking. How do we know eigenvalue and eigenvector exist for a given tensor of inertia? So the key is we are going to study this property, that is theta already we have demonstrated is symmetric. So we will study the properties of the symmetric matrices and then see what happens. Okay. So any questions until now? We will now move on to one small break we are taking. Break in the sense we are so like a subroutine in the computer science. We now suddenly move on to some small mathematics where we will talk about how these properties of symmetric matrices are important in the analyzing the tensor of inertia matrix, or in general how it plays a role in the mechanics. So these are the key properties we are going to show now. That is, if you have a symmetric matrix, then all eigenvalues are real. So it will never have a complex eigenvalue. We will show that shortly. Not only that, the eigenvectors are orthogonal to each other, because that is how we want the coordinate axis to be. The XYZ axis should not have some acute angle or obtuse angle or something. So we need them to be orthogonal to each other. Only then we can choose them as a coordinate system of axis and then do some rotation and things like that. So fortunately for symmetric matrices, the eigenvectors also turn out to be orthogonal to each other. So let us for a moment assume this and then see the consequence before we go to the proof. So the eigenvalues are real and eigenvalues are orthogonal. Eigenvectors are orthogonal to each other. So what is the consequence of this statement? This means that, yeah.
Sir, if the tensor of inertia matrix is not symmetric, then also we can have real eigenvalues, right?
But it will always be symmetric. That's what we have shown, no?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, good question. But tensor of inertia matrix is always symmetric. But that was one of the property we first showed. In whatever way you computed, it turned out to be symmetric.
Yes, sir.
So this means that for any possible position of the body coordinate axis, first of all, the tensor of inertia matrix exists. We already know because it is just computing the Ri cross the angular momentum, m into Vi. So this quantity exists, therefore the tensor of inertia matrix exists. So there, and then we have shown that it is symmetric. So therefore principal axis also exists at any coordinate for any coordinate axis. So wherever you draw the coordinate system, you can always find out certain axis along which the principal axis exists. So the orientation of this axis in general will not coincide with each other. We will see that. So the observation is theta is symmetric. Theta therefore has real eigenvalue because we have shown that symmetric matrices have real eigenvalue. So any rigid body always has three principal moments of inertia. And these are actually related to these three principal axes, real axes. So the principal axes are also orthogonal to each other. These are the relations to each other. So now let us go to the, okay, so more observations before we move on to the proof. So some simple things we will see. If two eigenvalues of theta are same, then the two orthogonal vectors can be chosen arbitrarily from the plane. That means there is some freedom once in a while. For instance, if you choose a cylinder, then you will notice that there are two eigenvalues of the tensor of inertia matrix which will be same. So then you will notice that for a right circular cylinder, if you choose the z-axis as the longer axis of your cylinder passing through the center, then the x and y axis can be anywhere in the plane orthogonal to the z axis. So there are certain freedom which can be obtained depending on the symmetry of the objects. That is what this statement means, that for a right circular cylinder, you will notice that if you there are two eigenvalues which are same. So if two principal moments of inertia with respect to center of mass rotation point are equal, as a rotation point are equal, then such a body is called as symmetric. So basically, we are talking about cylinder, right circular cylinder, or an ellipsoid, or even Earth. So there is a rotational symmetry about one axis. There is only one axis along which there is a rotational symmetry. If all the three principal moments of inertia are equal, which is a sphere, then any arbitrary orthogonal set of axes is a system of principal axis. For a sphere, with respect to the center, you draw any orthogonal coordinate system, then it is going to have the moments of inertia as same along those axes. So because of this, you can rotate the sphere with respect to any axis, and it will continue to remain. It will continue to rotate along the same set of axes. So usually we call it as a spherical top when the above is true with respect to the center of mass. Basically, you choose the center of mass and then find out the principal axis of inertia. So if two of them are equal, we call it as a spherical top. So what usually happens is one of the principal axis will usually coincide with the symmetry axis. For instance, in the case of cylinder, if you rotate the cylinder along the longer axis, it will continue to remain along that. Basically, bearings and all are of that type. The shaft, a motor shaft, is a cylindrical object. So along that axis, you have the principal axis of inertia. It also coincides with the symmetric axis. If you consider the rotation of a rigid body with respect to principal axis, in general, the center of gravity or the center of mass will move even when the angular velocity or the angular momentum vectors are parallel. So such a motion will require force. So there is no force-free motion, the general motion of a rigid body. For force-free motion, it can take place only along the center of the mass. Okay, anyway, this you can go back and think about it, and quickly moving on to the proof, which is slightly involved. That's why. So let us look at this properties of the symmetric matrix now. So in the case of properties of symmetric matrix, we have shown two things: all eigenvalues are real, and the eigenvectors are orthogonal to each other. Okay, so we will start with the first proof now. Suppose you have an eigenvalue lambda, and let's suppose it belongs to the complex domain. You must remember that complex domain also contains real. So if you can show that lambda equals to lambda star whenever it is an eigenvalue of theta, it means that lambda is a real quantity. So suppose lambda belongs to C, because in general, the eigenvalues can belong to the complex domain. Is an eigenvalue of the theta. So basically, whenever something is an eigenvalue, it means that there exists an eigenvector V such that theta V equals to lambda times V. This is the basic definition of eigenvalue eigenvector. Now, if you take the complex conjugates on both the sides of this expression, then we obtain V star theta star. It is basically like transpose in the real case. Since it is a complex domain, we have to also take the complex conjugate. So V star theta star is equal to lambda star V star. So you have this right eigenvalue and right eigenvector is lambda and V. Now you have left eigenvalue and left eigenvector are V star and lambda star. So, however, theta is symmetric, therefore, and it is also real. We also know that is how we have computed it. So, theta star is simply equals to theta itself. So, V star times theta is lambda star times V star. So, this is the expression we have. So, if lambda and V are the right eigenvalue and right eigenvector of theta, then lambda and V star are left eigenvalue and left eigenvector of the same matrix theta itself by using the symmetric property of the theta. So, this is where we have used the symmetric property. So, from this, can we conclude lambda is lambda star? So, for that, let us look at this expression V star theta V. So basically we are looking at the scalar quantity, which is V star theta V. So what is V star theta? V star theta from the above expression is lambda star V star V. And then what is this expression? It is also equal to, there are two ways you can expand it. One is by associative property, you consider only V star theta. V star theta means lambda star V star and then the remaining quantity V. Or you could have expanded lambda theta times V. So theta times V is lambda times V. So you have expanded it in two different ways and then got this expression. So it is lambda star V star V equals to lambda V star V. So what is common here, you notice, is V star V is common. Since it's a non-trivial vector, you can cancel them off. So what you obtain is lambda star equals to lambda. That means the eigenvalue lambda has to be real. Any questions here? So symmetric matrix, irrespective of whatever symmetric matrix it is. Of course, we are talking about real symmetric matrix. They have real eigenvalues. It can never have a complex eigenvalue.
Sir, it can happen that V star V into lambda minus lambda star is orthogonal, like both matrices are product is 0.
Tell me again, it can happen
That V star V in multiplied by lambda minus lambda star equal to 0. Like not necessarily both of them are 0.
Yeah. Okay. But lambda is a scalar quantity, no? Either it can be complex or real. It's a scalar. Scalar multiplied by another scalar. V star V is also a scalar.
Okay, sir. Fine.
Even if it's a complex number, V star V is also some number. So the product of these two numbers are 0 means one of them has to be 0. So lambda star minus lambda has to be 0 or V star V. But V star V is non-zero by definition because we have already spoken 0. We do not consider that as a eigenvector.
Okay. Sir,
Yes.
sir, here we are considering complex eigenvectors also, right?
Yeah. In the sense, in general, real is a subset of complex number. So we are saying, suppose if it is complex, we are saying it is not complex. It is belonging to only real. It doesn't have an I component. In general, suppose lambda is a complex number, the eigenvalue, then you expect the eigenvector to have complex things.
Sir,
Okay, so
I'm
you are
asking
saying
about
that
the V.
Yes.
I was asking about the V, sir, eigenvector.
Yeah, V in general can be complex, but it will turn out that it can never be complex. Once lambda is real, V also turns out to be real. Here our intention was to show only lambda as real. That is why we concentrated only on that. In the sense, we don't put any restriction on V. Even if someone comes and gives you a complex eigenvector, it does not affect the lambda. Okay, we are not looking at the properties of eigenvector in this particular proof, but later on it will turn out that it is also real. Okay, that's a separate question. So in this case, we have just concentrated on the property of the lambda, but your question is right.
Okay, sir. So we are considering a generic case.
Right. In general, this statement is true. In the sense, see, whenever you are proving, you should not put unnecessary restrictions on something. We did not say that V is real. Once you say V is real, lambda is also real.
Yes.
So theta times V. So then there is no need to show this proof at all. So, because we don't know whether V is real or not first. Because we have chosen lambda in general to be an eigenvalue, which can be complex or not complex. In the beginning, you did not know. Okay, so you have to start from the beginning. So when we chose lambda belonging to C, there is no constraint on V that it should be real. It cannot be real, in fact, if it was C. So therefore, that restriction is not there. We mean that it doesn't mean that V is complex, okay? What
Yes,
we
sir.
mean here is the complexity of V does not affect whether lambda is going to be real or complex. Okay, so I think I'm stopping the class here. Next class, we will talk about the orthogonality. Any questions?
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, in general, how can we show that if angular momentum vector and omega are not aligned, then the axis of rotation will change with time?
That we have to write the dynamical equation, no? Basically, you are saying that the moment, angular momentum, if it is not in the same direction, then you will expect the motion to change. So when we write down the dynamical equation, you will come to know. We have not written down the equation, right? For the linear motion, how do you write the force equation? Force equals to m into a, or force equals to m into dv by dt.
Yes.
You wrote, but dv by dt is your. Suppose if you apply the force along the same direction, then you can say that integral. So you can take the difference, rate of change of angular momentum, that is d by dt of mv. Force equals to d by dt of mv. So mv direction and the force direction. Sorry, the rate of change of linear momentum, that is d by dt of mv, is along the same direction as force. So here it will be d by dt of L.
Yes, sir.
R cross d by dt of R cross mv. So now the question here is we have to relate it to the. We have not written down the dynamical equation governing how the omega is going to change using this angular momentum expression. We have just showed those equations, that is the torque is equal to, what did we show? What was the expression? Torque equals to L dot. So L dot will be theta times omega dot. So you have to use that expression. Okay, we will write down the equation, then it will become clear. So we have not written down the dynamical equation completely to exactly argue for the case what you are asking.
So got it.
Hello. Madam. Madam, our class okay. So any questions? We will take a break and meet in the next class, good afternoon. I think he has uploaded the correct values. We will discuss that.
Yes, sir.
I am stopping now.